As I left the theater, I was thinking, please, for the love of God, do not let Joaquin Phoenix sing in another movie. And then I remembered he sang all the songs for Walk the Line 20 years ago. If that tells you anything about how well this went. Welcome back, and once again, thank you for trusting me with your full spoiler movie reviews. That thing I do where I watch movies and then I tell you all about them. As always, I am unpaid and unsponsored. And spoilers, all the spoilers. If you don't want spoilers, you can go ahead and scroll. I won't be offended. Spoilers. Okay, here we go. This is Joker, FOLIE, starring Joaquin Phoenix and Lady Gaga. The highly anticipated yet controversial sequel to the equally controversial Joker. And I want to preface this by saying I loved Joker. I want to say it was like 2019, 2018. And I know lots of people didn't because they said it drifted too far away from the Batman comics. However, I feel like there have been so many reiterations of Batman that it gets away with it. I mean, you can look at The Killing Joker versus Batman the Animated Series versus the 1960s Batman versus the Tim Burton versus the Dark Knight. So I think between all that, we can safely fit Joker in there, and it kind of makes sense. Until now! Because everything it did, everything it set up to do, was undid. And rendered the entire thing pointless. So let's get into it. 2 years after the events of Joker, Arthur Fleck is now being held in a correctional facility as he comes up for trial, and he has just been rendered competent to stand trial. He's been generally considered a model inmate while in the correctional facility, so he was granted access to join like this little choir with the mental health facility that I guess coincides with, where he meets Harleen Quinzel, who he calls Lee. Lee tells Arthur that she grew up in the same neighborhood and that her dad left and that her mom just kind of fucking hated her and that she was placed into the psychiatric unit by her mother for trying to light their building on fire. But it turns out none of that's true. She's a psychiatrist from the Upper West Side, and she voluntarily committed herself so that she could get closer to him, which she does by a guard letting her in his solitary confinement unit and getting wienered by him. And possibly pregnant, but we don't know whether or not that's ever actually true. But whatever, they're getting closer. She lights some paper on fire and they try to make a great escape, and then that doesn't work, and that's when she got wienered. But then after that, the trial starts. And it mostly becomes a courtroom procedural, like if you watch Law and Order. However, this is a terrible courtroom procedural. And there's a lot of singing. And there's a good bit of violence. However, like, if you're gonna go with that kind of violence, at least give me Midsommar gore. Like, he dreams scenarios bashing the judge's head in with a gavel. If you're gonna do it, just give me the blood and gore, damn it. We're already here. What's stopping you? I mean, you did it with Robert De Niro in the last one. Like, I don't know why we're pulling back. Which sounds like a bad request. However, the actual courtroom parts were getting so fucking boring, I was falling asleep. And then come to find out, another gentleman who I was talking to as I was leaving the theater was also getting ready to fall asleep. But whatever. And then he's talking to Lee through the little doorway, and he finds out she's pregnant or possibly pregnant. I still don't know on that. And then he fires his lawyer so that he can represent himself because everybody loves Joker. And then when he starts representing himself, when he goes back to the correctional facility at night, the guards are whipping his ass. And he's had enough of it, so when he goes to do his closing arguments, he's just sitting in front of the jury and he's like, there is no Joker, it's all me, I killed 6 people. And then Lee leaves because she doesn't like Arthur, she likes the Joker. So then they come back and the jury's ready to read their findings or whatever you want to call it. And they're in the middle of finding him guilty, and then a car bomb explodes and kills a whole bunch of people in the courtroom. And then Arthur goes on the run, to which a bunch of his followers put him in the back of a car and they're racing off trying to get him to a safe spot because apparently they're going to do this all over Gotham. And I'm thinking, oh, that's how he gets his henchmen and that's how he's going to rise to power. Wrong! It would be wrong! He gets out of the car and he starts running down the street, and he runs all the way down to the staircase that he danced on in the first movie, where it turns out Lee happened to be at, even though we thought she killed herself in like the last scene, but apparently not, and then she broke up with him, and we still don't know whether or not she's actually pregnant. Then we just never see her again. Well, Arthur gets sent back to Arkham Correctional Facility, where he gets stabbed to death by a guy. The end. Yes, the end. No rise to power, no escape, no clown prince, no puddin', no Harley Quinn, Poison Ivy, lesbian love child that we know of. We have one guy who killed 6 people and then got. So what was the point of the ride? What was the point? The answer, there was none. And you know what pisses me off about that? Because like I said in the first one, I was willing to defend it as the actual Joker is part of the Batman franchise. However, if they were going to go this route in the sequel, what they could have done is made a man who was obsessed with like the Batman comic books and still went through all of this, and he could have thought that he was the Joker out of the Batman comics. It would have tied everything together without actually saying that this takes place in the Batman universe. But they didn't go that route. I imagine the reason being so that they can use the copyrights and get a whole bunch of extra like publicity and shit. Feeling like we just got bamboozled. And it's a musical. And I was on board. I was like, it's a musical. It's got Lady Gaga, who, by the way, was fabulous. She did everything she had to do. And I love her for it. But first off, if it's going to be a musical, just say it's going to be a musical. Like, advertise it as a musical. But also, the music choice kind of sucks. Like, it's very, very jazzy. It's very old. And if you're into that kind of thing, you're going to like it. But for, like, your general audience, it's not going to hit. However, Joaquin Phoenix did sing a version of the Kath and Kim theme song, and I'm kind of on board with that one, but that's about all the praise that's going to get from me. Now, did I like it? Bits and pieces. It's just very whiplashy. It's stop and go, and it was driving me crazy. That, and I don't know if it was just my showing. I don't know if the movie is made like that, but something was fucking up with the brightness level, so it would go from dark to light to dark to light, and it's, ugh. I mean, it was okay overall. It wasn't the worst thing I've seen this year. By far, was it not the worst thing I've seen this year, because I've seen a lot of bad shit. But also, if you know me, you know that I have to have an ending I like. I have to have a coherent ending. I have to have an ending that makes sense. And for Arthur to get killed off when he is supposed to be the Joker who overtakes Gotham and fights Batman, but instead you just kill him off, and you took me on this ride for nothing, you're going to lose major points for that. Because you've wasted my time, and you wasted everybody else's time, and a whole lot of money. It's not cheap to go to the movies now. And you want to know what I think? My best guesstimation is that is not the original ending. Because when it first came out, like, 6-7 months ago, that the new Joker, or maybe it was even last year, that the new Joker was going to be a musical, people were pissed. And there was supposed to be, like, a third installment. Like, it was supposed to be, like, a trilogy or a series or something like that. But when people got pissed and they were already saying, oh, this is going to be a disaster, fucking Todd Phillips, like, canceled all the sequels to it. So this was going to be the last movie, and now I'm kind of wondering, did he shoot, like, an entirely different ending? And when he decided to cancel the other sequels, he just gave us this one. So it feels gypped. It just doesn't... I think I'm going to give it a 3 out of 10. That almost seems too low, but like the more I think about the ending, the madder I get. It does get points back for the Kath and Kim, but overall, I feel like had they taken this like kind of fast-paced, like Chicago, like had they done like almost like a rendition of Chicago without actually being Chicago, this could have worked out really interestingly. But for something like that to work, they would have to speed this movie up like tenfold. So yeah, the best I can do is 3 out of 10. Okay, bye. Forget your troubles, come on, get happy. And don't waste your fucking money.